Doesn't have a little snafu in it. Okay, we're back and we have our controller plugged in. We're playing Aero GPX Demo. Just kidding. There it is. Whew, I was worried I was gonna have to restart the game again. Yeah, sometimes you can. It's pretty easy to get sucked into a demo, which is hard because like it doesn't give you that much to play. It's like, oh, I want more. You've given me such a good game, but some demos are good because like the Star Invaders demo, for example, it's like a roguelite deck builder mixed with Space Invaders. That's a good one that actually gives you a lot of time to figure it out. Now this is Aero GPX again. This is a love letter / spiritual successor to F-Zero, a game that I really enjoy. I really, not the old 2D F-Zero. I like the new 3D ones, F-Zero X and F-Zero GX. So when I saw that this was coming out, I was like, yes. And speaking of yes, look at the build of this guy. There's not an ounce of fat on this man. Let's see. We could probably, I don't want to go with like the medium Marty. I like a good acceleration. And eraser. Good acceleration, good handling, I feel like is kind of a good way to go. Maybe I am gonna pick this Professor Beefcake here. Big on combat, huh? Die in the Dungeon. I remember that demo looked pretty interesting as well. But it also didn't seem like there was a lot to the game. After like you did a run. Like it seemed like you saw everything there was, and granted it was just the demo. So it's probably, I would hope that they're gonna have more in the actual game. Now this game is like kind of quiet. I wonder if I can turn it up just a scooch. Yeah, it's at 10%. I guess I've played this game before. Steam says that I have some time on it. So I must have played it before. They've done a lot to it since I last played it.
3, 2, 1, go!
Wow, hold on. All right, so gonna need to refresh myself on F-Zero controls. Also, the frame rate might not be doing it for me. I might have to, which is insane because this game is not visually taxing at all. But it's a little choppy. Desync on. I do want that on. Render scale, anti-alias, lighting quality, shadow quality. What? Yeah. When a game has to do that, it's, I think it's just gotta warm up. When a game has to just, make the same game essentially, not really change a lot of the mechanics, but they just make the enemies harder. It's like, well, it's kind of more challenging, but not in like an interesting way. Okay. Kind of remembering my F-Zero, my roots here. Just gotta remember. There's some buttons that I don't know that I'm trying to figure out here. That's okay. This is about everything that I remembered F-Zero being. Yeah. No, I agree. I think like a lot of roguelikes just kind of like, you don't really do a lot to make the content more interesting in the diversity. It's just like, oh, this enemy, this one's got spikes, and this one has some, just gets a lot of armor, and you have to figure out if you can kill it or with your build or not. So a lot of them don't really, build diversity in like interesting ways. Much like corporate America, they are beholden to equal opportunity employment. Just kidding. But yeah, they just kind of like take the the playbook of other roguelikes without trying to do anything interesting on their own. I gotta figure out what the buttons are, because I think that was okay, but I'd like to figure out what the combat buttons are. Although I never really did a lot of the combat in F-Zero. It was more just racing. But I know in like the harder difficulties of F-Zero, you do have to get like insanely good at combat, because the NPCs will just like wreck you. Drill, drive, RB, slam attack, RB. I guess that's just a direction. Yeah, I agree. It's pretty linear, I do feel, which is why I kind of like it. I guess there's a difference, right? Because like you get a roguelike where it's like the gameplay is basically the same, just the only difference is with the way that the map is presented, like a Spelunky or something. The items that you have right off the gate, those are going to be Okay, that's my spin move. And I like Spelunky a lot. So I think like if a game is gonna do that, I think it's a little more interesting for me, just because like the core gameplay loop of Spelunky is good enough that it's like, okay, I don't really mind so much that, you know, there's not like builds or anything in Spelunky. It's just like the platforming is tight, and the game is reliant on the gameplay as opposed to like the quote-unquote builds or whatever, which I like. And then of course you got the granddaddy, Isaac and Slay the Spire, where it's like the core builds change a lot. The gameplay is mostly the same, but there's like the diversity within the builds is good enough that most of your runs still end up being pretty different, just because the way the items are offered to you and stuff. But yeah, I would really like, if you like platformers, Spelunky 2 is hands down one of the best roguelike platformers for sure. And like the way that like you explore the systems is really fun as well. And they really beefed this game up a lot since last time I played the demo. Oops. Oh, shoot. Okay. I can't really slap that guy, but that's okay. As long as I stay right out in front. Yeah, I do feel like a lot of roguelikes now just kind of, they're just a little lazy, I guess. So they don't like, they offer like differences between each run, but the differences don't feel meaningful or interesting. So it just kind of makes me feel like, oh, I've played it once or twice and I get it. Yeah, that's a good comparison. SAP is like not a roguelike, but it's still like the same vein of where you do have to make meaningful decisions, mostly because like you're being influenced by what other players are doing. But you can't just like kind of do whatever, and your decisions actually matter. Come on, let me smash a guy. Okay. Yeah, this game's fun. I like this game. I don't know if you've ever like seen F-Zero before, Rabdag, but this is very along those lines. It's almost exactly like F-Zero. Oh no, please! I'm almost gonna fall out of the sky. Yeah, this used to be like a huge genre of game back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, where, you know, it's just like rocket-powered cars going 5,000 miles an hour. Hope they don't crash and burn. That's totally fair. Also, there's so many games to keep up with. There's really no reason to know every game out there. And I didn't really even like grow up with it as a kid. I just like, there was a time when I just like really hard games. Like I was so proud of myself for being like a Dark Souls fan and stuff. And now like I don't really engage with games in the same way because I don't have a lot of time to play games anymore. Guy who's playing a game right now. But in my hardcore gamer era, I was big into trying to like finish F-Zero GX on the GameCube. And it's fun. It's just like becomes such nonsense. Where like you have to be like insanely good at the game to beat it on its hardest difficulties. And there's a lot that the game doesn't really teach you. You kind of just have to figure it out by playing with the systems, which is cool for like a racing game, but for like a game that you don't want to look up a whole bunch of like guides on how to do these insane techniques and stuff, it's not beginner friendly at all. Like you can't just you know, pull up to the party with F-Zero and be like, hey guys, you want to play F-Zero? I know it's not Mario Kart, but it's still basically the same thing, which is a bummer because, you know, I really like these kinds of games, but yeah, they're not like casual friendly at all, which makes it really hard to get people into them. And I'm also not really the best at them either, so it's not like I'm good enough to play with the big boys, but also I can't get any of like my casual friends into these kinds of games. So I'm torn between two worlds. I haven't played a lot of like the top-down Zeldas. I just played Ocarina of Time for the first time back in like 2020. I think when I was on lockdown. And that was actually pretty good. I feel like Ocarina of Time for the most part aged well. Now granted, I did have a buddy who was like kind of watching me play and kind of like helping me out. I played it on, you know, an emulator as well, so that definitely helped me figure out where to go and like what to do. He didn't like teach me how to do the puzzles, but it was a lot of like, okay, I'm lost, help me. Woo! But as far as like Final Fantasy goes, I was never really a big Final Fantasy guy. There's just something about like menu-based combat doesn't really appeal to me much. So those are kind of a big miss for me. Unless they have cool or cute monsters. Yeah, I don't know that I like really want to go back and play through a bunch of like old Final Fantasy and stuff because I'm still not into menu-based combat. It's still like, and even worse is I'm so dopamine deprived that I don't think it's gonna get better for me as far as holding interest in those kinds of things. But I know that they're good. I tried to play through Final Fantasy VII, I think back in 2020 or 2021. I bought it for the Switch. And I was, you know, doing okay with it, but those kinds of games are just so long. Even like a game that would probably take me 15 to 20 hours to beat, I just don't think I want to commit to. It's not that I couldn't do it. It's just that, like, for example, when Elden Ring came out, I jammed that game super hard. I didn't go out, I didn't do anything, I didn't have much of a social life at all. For about a month and a half when I put in, I want to say like 90 to 100 hours into Elden Ring when that came out. And I was like, man, I can't do that again. I can't play a game that much again. Gigapets. Okay, I'll look into that. I'm just intrigued by the name Gigapets. It sounds interesting. Okay, so this game, I like that this game rewards like aggression. So like when you knock people out or like bump into them. Okay, all right. Could be our new stream game. Because I guess Dominion was kind of our stream game for a while. But I think, you know what's funny about Dominion is my system detected Dominion to be a virus. There's like a Trojan virus in the Steam build of the app. So I don't know what happened, but thankfully it quarantined it and I uninstalled it. But yeah, that was not fun to find out that a game that you got from the Steam App Store was Trojan. But I think that was also because, you know, Steam had some issues with how it was, you know, like protecting its builds. Because I think there's like a big Slay the Spire mod that had like a similar issue where they were like breached and uploaded a patch to people's computers for the mod that ended up being like a virus. Also, this game rules. There's really nothing much to like talk about the game. I know, play browser, but like, I don't. It just seemed like I was able to find some kind. I know you could find community basically anywhere. For Dominion, people are always playing it. But I was thinking, like, just for this was back when I cared about discoverability. People were seemed like to be gravitating to that version nicely, but you're right, there is like a web browser version. Is that me? I kind of. I mean, I wasn't like super concerned with discoverability, but I was trying a lot harder back then. Now I'm finding a lot more fun to just kind of do my stuff. Oh, sorry, that virus. No, that one was actually a lot more recent. I don't know where. Obviously, I don't know where I got that virus from. But yeah, I don't know where that one came from, or where it could have come from. But I was downloading a lot of audio setup to try to like make my new microphone sound good. So it was probably somewhere in there because it happened shortly after that. Unless it was like a sleeper agent or something. That also could have been the case. But this was Aero GPX. We're gonna boot up another demo here. Let me slash marker that.